I've never been a particularly partisan person. I've supported candidates from both sides. But at this moment, we must send a signal to Republicans in Washington that they have failed to lead, failed to find solutions, and failed to bring us together. That's why I'm voting Democratic. America is the greatest nation on earth. And for all our sakes, we must start becoming the United States of America once again.
That was former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg, a name to keep in mind the next time we do this whole election business in 2020. He might be there. But for now, he's focused on getting people like him, who sit somewhere in the center of the two political parties, to vote for Democrats tomorrow. Bloomberg is in good company. Many former Republicans, like Mike Gerson, Pete Wehner, George Will, Steve Schmidt, Max Boot, Rick Wilson, David Frum, James Comey, Brett Stevens, and Jennifer Rubin, all former staffers for Republican presidents, appointees for Republican presidents, or prominent conservatives, are urging other Republicans to vote for Democrats. These never-Trump Republicans are in political no man's land, something author George Packer writes about in The New Yorker. Quote, "The never-Trumpers are a powerful voice in American politics. They have the authority of apostasy, but they're shunned by conservative media and donors, and they have few friends in Congress. The never-Trumpers are scarcely more welcome by the left, which prefers arraigning them on old counts to recruiting them as allies. They're stranded in the no man's land of our polarized politics, the middle, where millions of voters have no voice on cable news. Many never-Trumpers, tired of being homeless, will eventually join the Democrats, migrating in the opposite direction of the neocons of the 70s and 80s. Joining our conversation now, Ohio Governor John Kasich. Are you a never-Trumper?
I couldn't, no, I'm not a never anybody.
No?
Well, there's some people that I'm
You're wearing
never.
a blue tie. Bloomberg had on a purple tie.
Yeah,
Are you sending a message?
Well, I thought his purple was like red and blue together.
It
so
was,
maybe
but
he's
yours
gonna
is
run
blue.
Well, I just put on a tie that I thought would look good. Does it look good? And I'm listening to all this stuff that you just read. My head was spinning.
I know. I think that's how a lot of people feel.
Look, I think we should, people want to say, well, who should I vote for? Vote for the person that you think is a unifier.
Well, Donald Trump is not a unifier.
I voted. I early voted. I didn't vote for all Republicans. No.
You didn't?
No. I vote for people who are unifiers, people that I think have courage. I don't have to agree with them, but I want to have respect for them. But I don't want them to spend their time, engaging in vitriol. And so, to me, I'm an American. I'm an American before I'm anything else. And so I don't like where things are today. And, our leaders are not leading. And so now it's a time, what I really think is now is a time for people to take action where they live and to create a synergy with others to drive change from the bottom up. I was talking to Gene earlier in the green room about this. When you think about the civil rights movement, it didn't come from the leaders. It came from the bottom up. It came from the faith community and people who thought, who really felt that African Americans were being treated horribly, and they pitched in. Or if you think about the end of the Vietnam War. I mean, we'd still be fighting there if it wasn't for the fact that young people got involved and took matters into their own hands. So I'm a believer now that the leaders are not leading, so now we have to have us, the people who live in the neighborhoods, to start bringing about change and sending a message to the top. Because, we scare politicians. The citizens scare politicians.
As they should. Yes. And they should be scared. Are you uncomfortable with Donald Trump's open embrace of racist dog whistles and racism as a closing message?
You're not serious when you ask me that.
Well, because I want.
I mean, there's nobody that's been more outspoken. I'm wondering where everybody else is about a lot of things.
This is my question. We've been talking about this in the last. Why isn't this a 90-10 issue? Why are people like, I don't know, I'm still going to vote? What is there to support when the Republican Party has basically become a megaphone for racism?
Well, remember, first of all, there's a lot of tribal, a lot of red and blue. You started off.
But I mean, where's Rob Portman? Where's Paul Ryan? I mean, where are
you? Got to call them up and ask them. I mean, I wish I had more people saying the things that, talking about what I think is over the line. I mean, I think there should be an ethical line that you don't cross in politics. And peddling fear, you may win something in the short term, but in the long term, it just damages our country and separates us even more. So do I think we're going to see leaders rise? I hope so. And if we don't, why don't we just do it ourselves? Why don't we just tell them we've had enough? Now, here's what's interesting. I watch a lot of these ads. I expanded Medicaid. I was one of the first governors. we're now covering, I don't know, 600,000 people. People are on Medicaid expansion for about 18 months, not for a lifetime. It's allowed single moms with kids to be able to go to work. Now I look and everybody's now for Medicaid expansion. And we would never be against repealing something that didn't protect pre-existing conditions. And now I'm looking at it and I say, okay, what day is this? I'm glad they're coming around, but I don't want them to go retro on us.
Let me ask you about this. So you're talking about policy. Donald Trump.
A word about the Democrats, too. I mean, we have to realize, I don't know what their message is. I don't know.
Well, they've been. I mean, I've watched a lot of the ads that they don't air nationally, but they air in the local market. They're running on health care. I mean, they may not be in the same position, but they are. They have a message. And there's this notion in the national media. We say Democrats don't have a message. If you watch local news coverage, you may not like it, but they have a message. Yeah,
local candidates are articulating a message. That's correct. But I'd say that nationally, I don't quite know what it is. And I don't know what the Republican message is beyond watch out for the caravan. So it's like people, here's what I think is happening. We got people on the right, we got people on the left, and we have all these people in the middle, which are an ocean of people. And they're numb. They don't know what to do.
Well, that was
so vote, and then let's organize.
I mean, George Packer wrote, I think, one of the best books sort of predicting where we were going to end up, The Unwinding. And I think the point of that piece is that I don't know if you consider yourself a never Trumper, but people who don't support Trump and who were once affiliated with the Republican Party don't have land to stand on.
Look, I wasn't supporting Trump before all the rest of them decided they didn't support Trump. Okay.
you were there first.
I didn't go to the convention. I didn't endorse him. Here's the thing. 1 minute I endorse him, then I unendorse him, then I endorse him, then I unendorse him. It was like watching a ping pong match, back and forth. So, look, my problem with him is, and we have a lot of problems in the country, but when you're a populist, there's two kinds of populists. There's a negative populist that feeds down on people who have trouble, and there's a positive populist who says, yes, we have problem with the wage, with an income inequality gap. We have problems with health care. We get a lot of problems. We have problems because your kid can't get a good, decent job, and you've got big debts. Okay, we should say yes, but let's work together to fix it. Not, it's somebody coming into the country to take your job, and I don't buy that stuff. Okay?
Let me ask you something, though. You are wonky. Are you afraid that Trump has obliterated the sort of climate in which we can debate policy ideas? Because he told his supporters, don't believe what you see, don't believe what you hear. There are Republicans out there lying about their positions on health care. Are you afraid that you can't thrive?
I think policies matter, but it's not about policies today.
Yeah.
It's about touching people's souls. How are you doing? How's it going for your family? How's it going with health care? How's your son or daughter doing? What's the problem in your neighborhood with drugs? I mean, that's what I learned on the presidential campaign trail. I was talking about I balanced the budget and I did this and I got all these jobs created. But what really connected with people is when I took the time to talk to them and with them and to hear what they had to say. And so, talking about balance, but we have to get to health care and all that. But we have to keep in mind that we're doing this because I'm concerned about you. I am my brother and sister's keeper, whether I want to admit it or like it or not. And the other thing is where my optimism is, people know what they're supposed to do. C.S. Lewis wrote a book about, the fact is it's natural for us to understand the difference between right and wrong. Sometimes we do wrong and we make an excuse for it, but we know the difference. And that's why I'm hopeful about our country. I'm hopeful about the future here. But, we have to call out things when we see them that are really negative.
So how are you going to do that? Are you going to primary Donald Trump?
Well, I don't. Right now, how do you think a primary would go? Not great. Okay.
So you're going to run as an independent?
I don't know. All options are on the table. But I can tell you this: I don't think I'll be fading away, and I don't want to minimize or diminish my voice. Then the question gets to be: in order to have a voice, does that mean I have to hold elected office? Maybe I will. Then maybe I won't. I don't know what is going to happen. But all options are on the table.
How do you have a serious policy debate, though, with a president who has such a loud megaphone and who is out there telling people that he can just do an executive order and change the Constitution on birthright citizenship, or who can just give another 10% tax cut to people?
But that's not going to happen. So why
I know it's not going to happen.
But how
do you break into the conversation when someone is sort of so cavalier?
I said there's right and there's left and there's the big ocean in the middle. Mm-hmm. And how do we get to them? We get to them, I believe, on the basis of a certain ethic and morality, that I do care about you. And by the way, I know you're worried about the caravan, but here's the thing. we're lucky we're not in the caravan, and maybe we are in the caravan. Maybe we are people who feel threatened in our own neighborhoods. These people that come from Guatemala, you know, these are moms that say they were going to rape my daughter or kill my son because he wouldn't be a drug mule. Okay, we have to deal with asylum. We have to rebuild. You know, one of the things we need to do, we're trying to solve everything at the border. Why aren't we having a policy that it helps us to fix things where the problem starts? So I believe the ultimate answer to getting to people is to touch their hearts. And groups like, how about the Cajun Navy? They'll go anywhere over the country. I saw Bohemian Rhapsody. Okay, I want to tell you why. On Saturday with my wife, in that Wembley Stadium, when Queen performed, you have to see it. There was the liberals and the conservatives, the Tory and Labour. There was black, there was white, there was young, there was old, there was rich, there was poor. And they were all clapping together and dancing together and hugging together. And it was a sea of humanity. And it was so great.
Your campaign just got a theme song. We're going to keep we're going to keep this conversation going. Go ahead.
Freddie Mercury.
I'm sorry. Lights out.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.